Open Your Eyes is brought to you by the Belize Bank, our country, your bank, and Smart, bringing people together.
Welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right. I am John Palacio.
And I'm Marlene Cuellar.
And thank you for joining us this morning.
Yeah.
You know what's so nice is that we've got a routine. And it is a Tuesday, Belize. It is a wonderful Tuesday morning at that. Here in Belize City, looking very, very well. We'll be getting what's going to happen with the weather from the forecaster. Forecaster guy is on duty at the National Met Service. But nonetheless, it is a beautiful day, and it is that day of that day. What day? KTV Latino.
KTV Latino Day.
Yeah. And so that's the day. And so I tell you what, man, looking forward to it. I saw Ozzy the Clown. He's got his commercial going on, and he made a 2 into a 20. Now imagine you making a 2 into a 20. I would love to do that.
Keep him around more often.
Yes, we should. Yes, we should. We should always have Ozzy the Clown on with us so he could continue to make 2s into 20s. But it's always a nice time. And also tonight, there'll be lots to share with you. Tonight, you'll be getting tickets for some lucky participant, not participant, but audience member will get a chance to get some tickets for Rosie War. As you know, Rosie War is an international artist. She's a Peruvian, and she does, yes, I'm on. Hey, I'm trying. She does excellent music, and it's going to be a wonderful time. $100 cash will be given away courtesy Zitro International, and wonderful performance from our contestants. Whee!
Yeah, absolutely. And we're going to be down to 6 tonight. So the numbers go down pretty fast.
It's running down that quick.
Definitely want to see what they're bringing to the stage. We know they have the songs that they select, and they also have their challenge songs.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Definitely make it out to Bliss. Tickets are at Channel 5 on Coney Drive. They're at 88 Shopping Center on Central American Boulevard, and they're also at Smart's downtown office.
So we've got tickets, ticket booths, or ticket folks who are selling tickets right next to you. There is no reason for you to say, you know what, I'm not able to make it. We've got some goodies, we've got giveaways, we've got entertainment galore, and the tickets are fairly reasonable, and they're for family. It's all about the family. This is a family show, and we want for you to go on out, and we want for you to take advantage. Don't forget to vote as well. If you're a Digicel customer, you could vote. You're a Smart customer, you could vote. You do what you've got to do, and voting closes normally on Sundays. Yeah, today is Tuesday. So from tonight, you do your thing.
Yeah, and you know, I'm just thinking, I'm like, if you're somebody who has a very strong opinion about who should be in the show, then you should vote as well, because otherwise, you know, you really can't say much unless you are actually voting for the person you like the most. You move forward to the next round of the competition, the pressure gets tighter, the pressure gets more intense. You have to try to do what you can to secure your person through to the end.
Yeah, and it's so easy. So don't go on Facebook and say, oh, this one never really, I love this one. The best way to
love
do
them
it.
on Facebook.
Yeah, you can't just love them on Facebook. Love them with your vote. And the thing is, I love the judges when it comes to this, for the fact that they all they do is try to get them to enhance what they're doing. You know, work on your craft, be better. You know, work on the stage, do what you've got to do. Work on your diaphragm or how you're breathing and whatnot. It's not them who are doing the judging. They give their perspective there and then with a number. So if they feel like, you know what, your performance was a 6, they'll tell you it's a 6, but it's not up to them at the end of the day. At the end of the day, the voting and for your participant to be there is up to you.
That's right.
All right. So we move on. Let's move on now. When it comes to birthdays, if it is your birthday today, we'd like to wish you all the very best. And the weather might just be good for your day.
All right. We have Angelia on the line. Good morning.
Good morning.
How are you today?
I'm good, and you?
Not too bad. Of course, I know we are expecting some showers today, but it seems like a bright sunny morning so far.
Yes, we do have the moisture beginning to increase over the country. So far, we have isolated thunderstorms over the south coast this morning.
Okay.
Okay.
So we're expecting a few showers and isolated thunderstorms to develop over the south at first this morning, and then spreading to most areas later, especially north and inland areas.
All right, and that is the general situation. So, what's going to happen within the next 24 hours?
Okay, that, and then tonight we have an increase in showers and thunderstorms, especially over the northern half of the country.
Okay, what is that saying for our temperatures? Because we know that it could be raining, but it could still be hot.
Okay, temperatures will continue slightly warm today, reaching 87 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 90 inland and 80 in the hills. And then with the expected rains tonight, we expect temperatures to be a bit on the cooler side, ranging or falling to 78 degrees Fahrenheit along the coast, 72 inland and 68 in the hills.
All right, and tell me something, Miss Guy. Is there anything out there in the tropics that we should look out for at this time?
No, not at this time, and no tropical cyclone activity is expected during the next few days.
Wow. So while we are, and I'd say Greece with this tropical wave that will be passing by, because rain is good. Don't get us wrong, rain is good. What does this say? What does this say for the weather outlook?
Okay, this wave is expected to cross probably tonight or this evening. And behind it, we expect some showers, a few periods of rain, and a few thunderstorms to continue over most areas tomorrow morning, and then decrease during the daytime.
All right. Well, that sounds good. We know what's going on in the tropics now. We know what's going on closer to home. We know what the temperatures are going to be. Miss Guy, we want to thank you so very much and wishing you a very, very pleasant day today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
Thank you too. All right.
There we go. There we go. And you know what? We're still in the hurricane season, Marlene.
Yeah.
And we want folks to be very, very cautious. Whenever you're making those plans, to make sure that you've got something aside in the event there is anything. And I also want to say a big kudos to NEMO, whereby I think over the last 2 weeks they were actually keeping us on our P's and Q's on a system that was right around the corner from us. And we want for folks to understand that whenever things like this happen, we've got the authorities who are watching over it and trying to make sure that we put ourselves in the best position to survive.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, while there's still a month and 2 weeks left in the hurricane season, we may start to get a little bit relaxed about paying attention.
Yeah.
We really encourage people. We know that storms can come right through to the end of November. Sometimes hurricanes happen outside of the season as well. So just remember to have everything that you need, or as much as you can keep aside for now. Give yourself a good head start, that if there's a threat, that you have less to worry about to prepare yourself and your family.
Definitely. And don't forget, while the hurricane season is from June to November, on the day of May 1st, there was a system, a name system as well. And so we want folks to be very vigilant, not because the hurricane season is from June to November, meaning that at the end of November, we won't be getting anything, especially when it comes to flooding. Anything can happen at any time. And we continue to say, it's not if, it's when.
Yeah,
all right, we're in the tropics, so let's face that fact.
All right.
All right.
Well,
So we want to thank the forecasters once again, and for keeping us up to date when it comes to the weather update. And so today we've got 3 wonderful segments, and we're looking forward to all 3. For the first segment, we know that Oceana held their AGM, and some ocean heroes were chosen. They'll be in to tell us all about those folks, who they are, and how they were chosen. That's our first segment.
All right, and the application period for the Youth Ambassadors Program through the U.S. Embassy is still open, but the deadline is quickly approaching. So we're going to get some of the details. We'll hear from an ambassador himself, or one of the mentors, I should say, about the program and why you should apply, who's eligible, and we'll get all that information in the second part of our show.
Definitely, and I'll tell you what, we love launches. Launches, we love them. The BTV is launching something else as well, and they'll be launching Responsible Tourism Campaign. What is that about? We'll tell you about that in our third and final segment this morning. And so we'll take a break, and when we come back, we'll be jumping on into our first segment for the morning. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
With over 100 years of service
And welcome back to Open Your Eyes on this lovely Tuesday morning. Taking a quick shift into things because today we'll be telling you a little about the eye opener.
All right, yeah. So we're doing our eye opener this morning to get things started. And our eye opener taken from dailyom.com goes like this. People who want to control others are, at the core, consumed with their own fears and projecting them onto others. We all know what it's like to want to be in control. Controlling behavior in the negative sense comes from a tendency to reach beyond our own boundaries and into the lives of others. Many people do this with the rationalization that they are helping. This can happen with parents who are still trying to force their grown children into behaving in ways that they find acceptable. It can also happen when people try to control their partner's behavior. If you have control issues, you will see that in one or more areas of your life, you feel the need to interfere with what is happening rather than just allowing events to unfold. It is hard sometimes to allow others to be who they are, especially if we feel we know what's best for them and we see them making choices we wouldn't make. However, if we are to be respectful and truly loving, we have to let people go, trusting that they will find their way in their own time and understanding that it is their life to live. Just reminding yourself that the only life you have to live is your own is the first step to letting go.
Sweet, right? Yeah, we could all reckon with
All
that.
right, we all got to take a few moments to swallow our guilt.
Yeah.
Poor parents are like, but that was our eye opener for this morning. A little positive motivation to get us started.
Definitely pushing us over the hump.
We
But moving on now into our segment for this morning. The first segment actually for the morning. Oceana over the weekend they held their AGM, and of course some ocean heroes were chosen. So in to tell us all about this, Alyssa Noble Carnegie, who is the communications director at Oceana Belize, a girl, and Jacinta Gomez, outreach program and project director. Understand she recently got back home. So welcome to both of you. Good morning. It's nice to have you in.
All the times. We're so happy to be here.
Definitely.
Always.
Yes, and there's so much happening, right?
Always during this time of year. It's our busiest time, but
So why does it get busy for you around this time?
well, we have two major events, like John just said, our Ocean Hero Awards and our AGM. And there's another big event also in September, our International Coastal Cleanup that's in partnership with the Scouts. So 3 major countrywide, for 2 of them, events that is just a lot of coordinating, but in the end, at this point, it's all worth it, looking back, you know.
For sure.
You know, Oceana's been in country for quite a while now, and I think it clearly
years.
10 years already.
This year.
This year makes 10 years.
Wow. Okay, yeah. but even in that time, you know, it really established its presence. And I think in working with different communities and definitely keeping the awareness of different issues visible. You recently had your AGM over the weekend, and I kind of wanted to start there just to set the backdrop as to how you plan your way forward. How do you dedicate towards a cause that fits your mandate, but still is relevant to the wider public?
Well, I mean, we're dedicated to marine conservation.
Yeah.
And so in a sense, having such a well-defined kind of scope in which we work really allows us to be able to, I don't want to say prioritize, but be able to see how we can best support, how we can best fit. So we try to be involved in things that, really prioritize marine conservation. We work with the community. It has to be something that the community, finds important. They're willing to invest in themselves. And so, we find ourselves involved in quite a bit because for Belize, I mean, our number one resource, our natural resources, of which marine, resources we have are some of the largest.
Of course.
We have over 60% of our population residing in coastal communities. So it's a really big deal. And so we have things like, from marine animal or mammal strandings, plastic is a really big concern for us. Not just because it's like unsightly or unhealthy, but I mean, it's in the food we're consuming through our fish. So it's one of the big things that we're seeing. And of course, responsible fishing and things like, offshore oil and, dirty types of energy continue to be priorities for us.
And even damaging fishing practices. Like I know obviously you've been very active with the ban on gill nets. And where are we with that issue today?
So we're actually we had the findings from the FOIA, our FOIA request, and we found out there was a very small group of fishers who've been consistently using this as a gear. And even so, it's not been something that they've been using consistently. It's something that they have, supplemented their income with other ways of fishing or other things. So tour guiding or maybe some other, ways. So it's a really small group. So what we're doing right now is looking at how we're working with partners on the ground, the Coalition for Sustainable Fisheries and others, in terms of, coming up what the best, way forward is in terms of alternatives, and putting that proposal in front of the government and see, how we can get that implemented, because it's, again, a really small group. We can make a difference. Oceana just recently, helped to facilitate a boat over to the Coast Guard, which has already been working and having great results. And really, we know that this is a gear of choice for illegal fishers coming into Belize's water. So if we make it easy for our, enforcement agencies to be able to do their jobs, to be able to say, no, this isn't a gear that's allowed here, it makes it easier for them to patrol the seas and say, no, you gotta go, you gotta take this out, instead of, having to regulate it, because that's, I think, one of the concerns was like, let's regulate it. And we're like, there's lots of regulation on this, but it's really not practical. It's like, do I pull it up and see the tags? Like, how much of it? It's really,
and it's mostly
really
underwater, so.
No, absolutely. But the damage is huge. And, we talk about plastics, and gill nets are, monofilament. And if they wash away and they are ghost net and they continue to ghost fish, we see a lot of marine mammals or animals like stranded in the nets, and they're just literally swimming, trying to get out of these things. We've all seen videos like that. So it's something that we're still very much pursuing. It's, on the table, and, we've had, some indication that, we're moving forward on that point, but we'll
But
see.
it is a collective effort. I know there's the task force that was put together, so there are different agencies represented, and I think I can't help but reflecting on even the ban for offshore oil drilling and how long that took in term, and that had massive public support.
For sure.
With the gill net issue, there's a small sector of people who have been saying, well, I don't know what I'm going to do as an alternative livelihood. How are you able, even if it's just a group of 10 people, if they have concerns and they're 10 users, how does Oceana or any of the other agencies work with them to kind of get them to the same point?
Well, it's definitely a bottom-up approach. We've had the benefit of seeing other alternative livelihood programs trying to, kind of seeing what their challenges were, what their successes were. And I think the successes that we've seen have been in terms of when the fishers can identify for themselves what they'd like to do or what those transitions are. It puts us in a position where it's not like a dictatorial scenario. It's definitely, they're involved, they recognize it. And to be quite honest, a lot of this has to happen anyway. With climate change, not just a looming threat, it is here, it is happening. It's very much a crisis. No, it's here, it's literally here. A lot of energy and efforts are being put into adaptation and mitigation for these fishers. So, they're seeing less catch, they're seeing the changes, the impact, like bleaching or everything are having on fish. And so diversification away from fishing may not be something that everyone wants, but it is a reality. And so many of them themselves are saying, really it's not something that we see even our kids doing, which is a little bit sad for me because my family just personally were fishers. So to see that and hear that, it is a reality, but it's something that we can do, and it's something that, that's being done with their input and led by them.
I firstly want to start by saying congratulations to Oceana
Thank you.
For a strong 10 years. one of the things that we've seen from Oceania, which I think a lot of the businesses, especially the other NGOs, could take away, are the successes of Oceania. The fight continues with Oceania without being silent on anything that they believe that will benefit this country in any way, shape, or form. That much we could see with the offshore drilling. That's a clear success. Now, in order for anybody to go forward, especially with this GillNet situation, there must be a buy-in process. Everybody must understand. Everybody must understand that when you've got nets down there, they're little fish, and they could get caught up in it. You know what people don't think? People don't think that fish drown. People don't feel that fish are able to die in water.
Yeah.
Not swimming, they drown. They need oxygen. So the buying process comes in there. What is Oceania's forward in making sure that we get much or most people on board so we could continue with all the successes that we've been doing so far?
I was just going to say that our successes aren't Oceania's alone. We are supported by thousands of wave makers throughout this country, and it's really, again, a community-led process.
It's really a two-pronged approach, the communications level and then the grassroots level.
Yeah.
So it's getting out there and meeting people where they are in their classrooms, at the supermarket, at their businesses, doing brown bag sessions. Anyone that wants to hear from us, we're happy and willing to go in and, during lunch, have people bring their lunch and we talk to them about our campaigns and update them. So that's really where our strength comes from. It's from people that, listen and can say, okay, I get what you're saying. And like you said, fish can drown, and that's why it's called gill nets, because the fish swim into it, get hooked on their gills, which they use to breathe, and they can't swim out. So that's why they call them the walls of death. So, but definitely, being on the ground has helped us with our field representative program in recruiting, wave makers and having a strong wave maker base. That's definitely been a strength in all of our campaigns.
And I think our approach too has been one of more information. So it's always been like, we want to give you the information. Let's create this culture of transparency, of being honest, and make a decision for yourself when you're presented with both the pros and cons of, and the impacts of, what's on the table. You need to know what's on the table first. And so I think that's where we've been able to be very, instrumental is in bringing that information, but literally having people decide for themselves.
And you also use local champions who've already bought in and who have been communicating the same message that you've had, that the fish stock is different, the fish stock, fishing isn't the way it used to be before. And that's how you end up with some of your ocean heroes, right?
Yes, that's right. And these people don't do it for any other reason than the love of what they do. And they see it. They've been involved in it for, it's their life, it's their passion, it's their livelihood. And so these people are also, teachers for us. They give us information too. And it's just great to see these role models in Belize. And so this past year, in this past October, we had our 9th annual Ocean Hero Awards. And we actually, 2 fishers were recognized, as our Ocean Heroes this year. So we have Miss Guadalupe Lampala from Riversdale Community. And it was so great to see her, because when you think fishing, you don't always think of women, but she's been so instrumental, and she's just, she's definitely a matriarch, and in her family, she's well recognized, from the interviews and, just listening to her relatives talk, like all of her, family, her sons were like, she could dive further and longer than any other man, doing all these things. But just what she set up and the legacy she's left for her family and her community and, by extension, the country is just amazing. And then we also had Mr. Dale Fairweather, who actually should be no stranger to you guys, because he's been on here.
That's what I said. I know he's passionately spoke about this issue.
Speaking about, gill nets and unsustainable fishing practices, and he's been such a voice in terms of, for the fishers and helping get, Le Turneuf Atoll set up as a reserve. And so they've really been, doing this. They've committed their time, they've foregone some of their salary just to make sure that, things that they can leave, a legacy for their kids.
Well, I love your synopsis, but we do have the videos that you've produced on the Ocean Heroes. So we actually wanted to give our viewers the opportunity to see their stories. And so we're going to go ahead and show those now. These are the 2019 Oceana Belize Ocean Heroes, Dale Fairweather and Guadalupe Lampella. Let's check that out. He's right.
I grew up on the sea, and I always used to love the sea. I work for nobody. I would work in the sea, and when I want my money, I know where I could get it.
I mean, 2 hours with them. We used to always pull up that door 2 times for the day. We used to around one of them. And we used to be like invincible, like just go through everything, dive real deep. We used to crazy, like dive like 100 feet or more. I always said that she's about the best fisherwoman I ever meet.
Ella desde chiquita aprendió allá donde vivíamos en Culuquí, aprendió muy chiquita a bucear, a nadar, chiquita bastante. Ellas eran buenas para bucear, sacar langosta, caracol. Trabajaban para la cooperativa de Plasencia, cuando ellos estaban nenitos, chiquitos. Ellos, después ellas empezaron a tener sus hijitos, así los criaron, trabajando.
And she provided for us, but also worked as hard as any men in the fishing industry, even harder. I've seen men that would give up before she did. She made men look like kids, and then she has a respect from that from a lot of the old fishermen, and they would even say, I've never met another woman or another fisherman like her, and she's known not only in this part of Belize but also all the way up to Sardinia.
When I was young, me and my brother, we used to see the fish there by school. They had supper by school. If that time like before, you would see one have fish, they play around them flowers. You would see one group of they watch you. All of that they finished.
In conservation and in fishing, the fishing industry, there is what we refer to as a value chain. She has exemplified her position in this value chain as a fisherwoman because, I mean, it takes a lot to go out there on a daily basis to sometimes many hours, sometimes days. Like right now, it's difficult speaking with some of them. You go out there and there's not anything to catch, you know, so you spend the resources, you use the resources, and you might not get the value that you put into it, but it takes a lot of patience and commitment, and it's admirable to see people like this who actually do a lot of the groundwork. We as consumers might see the results of all these people working, the hard work that they put in.
Fisheries is a male-dominated field, and so often whenever they speak of fisher, they only speak about men. And so the fact that we have this woman who is receiving such recognition for the work that she does within the field, but also relating it to conservation, it speaks to the role that women can play. Men and women have different interaction, different experiences with the environment, and often women also allow their families to be involved.
He loved the sea, and he's a hard-working man. He go off the key sometimes 8 to 10 days, and he come back, and then the next day he want to go right back to the sea. Every New Year's, he make sure he stay out at key. He go back to the key to make New Year's, meet him at the sea. He dedicated to his job.
I grew up in Placentia, and that's how I get into fishing. And I have been fishing for many years, and I have seen the good and the bad practices that fishermen does, and that's why I get into advocacy.
Mr. Fairweather is a fisherman. That is his, that is his livelihood. So for me, one of the things that he did that was so important and sort of signifies an ocean hero was he gave up his time at sea. He gave up, generating an income to come and sit in an air-conditioned room and work with us day in and day out in order to pull everything that we needed together in order to get Turneff declared a marine reserve.
He continues to be a part of how do we protect Turneff on a whole through other things that he has done. And I think, to me that is something that he has within him. Whenever you speak to him, you can tell that he really understands how the resource works, and he really understands that fishers have to play a part of management. And I think he tries to pass that on to other younger fishers and see how they can ensure that the next generation coming up in fishing understand what sustainability for the marine resource means.
I believe that as a fisher, his greatest accomplishment is understanding how the resource base and their unsustainable practices impact on that resource base and ultimately how it impacts on their livelihoods. I think that's a big achievement as a fisher.
One good memory that I can recall is his ability to get out there and speak on the issues that are facing the fishing industry, the ocean. He would go into the communities, he would go to the university, and he would speak to the students and he would explain to them. And not only does he speak to them, but he would also volunteer his time, his own resources to take them out to sea, to take the theory and put it into practical, to let them understand and recognize how very important the ocean is to all of us.
All right, so here we go. We're back. And those were actually two lovely videos of the lifestyle of two of Belize's fishers. So can you tell us, at least dive into it a little. What was it like working along with these people and then trying to get these shots? And tell us about their lifestyle.
Well, I mean, it's always, like I said, very eye-opening. It's very real. It's very humbling to be able to be on the periphery and be able to observe and like witness and absorb just I think their impact when you talk to people and you hear their stories and it's unscripted. It's really just like listening to them and they're just opening up about it. It's always really humbling for me. And then also, I mean, being with them, like Miss Lampella, I mean, it's just insane. I mean, she's still so capable. I mean, she's way better than me for sure. Mr. Dale too there. I mean, it's hard work what they do. A lot of people think fishing is like for the,
they love
doesn't
it.
require much effort, but it's a lot, and it's, they know it, they know where they're going, they know what they do, and
one thing
just
that
really great.
stood out for me for both of them, they're both fisher folk and they rely on the marine resources for their livelihoods. So they're always surrounded by it. And like Miss Guadalupe said, she knows she can go to the sea. She doesn't have a boss. The sea is her boss, right? That's one of my favorite clips from one of her videos that we did back in 2016 with her when she won Fisher Folk of the Year award, I believe. But outside of that, they're both unafraid to really speak up about the issues that they see firsthand. And even though this is their livelihood, and Miss Guadalupe said as a child she used to use gill nets when she was just growing up, and she realized that it negatively impacted the marine environment, and now she's an advocate for a ban on gill nets. Same with Mr. Dale. So having the courage to really speak up and use their voice, and lend to that platform, I think is very admirable of both of them.
What was the?
And
What was the?
One second. I just
sure.
wanted to ask, and we did have Andrea Palanco, who got environmental journalist.
Yes,
No, no,
yes.
just give us
Oh
a
yeah,
moment.
bring,
I want to brag about a friend here, but she's definitely a passionate reporter when it comes to reporting on any environmental issue.
Yes.
So I'm sure she's very deserving of that recognition.
Absolutely. We recognize that, in our effort to impart knowledge and to inform, the media is definitely the conduit to doing that. Yeah. And we have so many great, journalists and media community who, put Belize first always, and they're there to cover the stories. It's unfortunate just having come from the kind of, coming from the community, you understand too that it's a lot of hard work, and a lot of times you don't get any type of appreciation for it. A lot of people would be like, oh, but the media over sensationalize this or then did that, and there's a lot to do, but at the same time there's a lot that's already being done, and being able to recognize those efforts, and also to act as an incentive to say, how can we get more out there? How can people see that a lot of these issues are important. It's not just fish. It is, it is livelihood. It's economy. It's growth. It's well-being. And so, we're really happy to help be a part of that. We've done fish school. Done trainings. And so this is something that we're hoping to regularize in terms of moving forward a Journalist of the Year.
It's all tied into one, Yes. The fisher folk and what they do, they need the reporter to go on out there to showcase what's going on, which sensationalize the public on exactly how things work. I always say that everyone is everyone's asset. And there are a lot of people out there right now who would say, I'm doing the same thing. I'm doing the same thing, or I might just be doing more. What was the criteria for one to have been chosen? And I'm asking this because next year we're going to do it again. What's the criteria? What was the criteria?
So, we're looking at basic things, like number of stories, like quality, of course, but really just, kind of different mediums and modalities of, getting the information across. We're hoping to take it into different categories next year, so it's not just one journalist, but maybe looking at whether we do it on platform, is it online, is it radio, things like that, newspaper, to be able to see the gamut, because not all are equal. But judging from the feedback from this year, we know it's something that's really exciting, that people are committed to, and so we're committed to doing our part.
And we are quickly running out of time. Don't want to lose the opportunity. You also have your very active wave makers. Tell us a bit about that. And that's one of the opportunity that the wider community can get directly involved with the work of Oceana.
Definitely. So over the weekend, we had our wave maker AGM in Belize City for the first time. And we had the biggest crowd we've had ever. So I think that's really a testament to the fact that we have a lot of young people across the country that are engaged and they want to learn. They want to, inspire and be inspired. And that's one of the goals of our AGM every year, is to bring like-minded, young youth in one place where they can get an update on our campaigns, but they can also learn from each other. So it's an opportunity for them to network and mingle. And the third thing that we aim to do every year is recognize those that have gone above and beyond in the past year, helping out with our campaigns. So we usually do a district wave maker and then a national wave maker of the year. And this year, Miss Yvette Sanker-Riverol from Corozal won the national wave maker of the year. She is an English teacher at CJC, but when she's not teaching English, she's doing a lot rallying her students to get involved and really being that push and that mentor in terms of environmental problems and issues, and not only the problems but how we can play our part to help solve these issues in
Are
our
the wave
community
makers
level.
primarily associated with schools, or it could be anyone?
No, anyone. We have honorary wave makers,
It's young, but it's also for the young at heart. So we have a lot of wave makers as well who are, have been there from the beginning, from we started in country. And 10 years strong, we have over 3,000 wave makers countrywide.
Whoa.
And those are just the ones that are registered. Like Jacinta was saying, we have a lot of people who are on honorary wave makers
that we know we can
Yes.
call on, you
Yeah.
know, in different communities.
and people who just show up and
Yeah.
participate.
Exactly.
Excellent.
Awesome. And so if there's a school or an organization who wants to become wave makers or organize a group of wave makers, do they just contact you for support on how to do it, what to do?
Sure, they can reach out to us at belize@oceana.org, and we're happy to go in, do a presentation so they can feel it out if it's something they're really interested and passionate about. You know, we're happy to share more about that and set up a club at the school, or even just help them organize activities like cleanups on the weekend and help to moderate that.
All right. Well, that's your chance that you can take advantage of if you want to become a wave maker in your own area. Ladies, thank you for coming in and giving us an update. We do appreciate it.
Thank you.
All right.
It's great to be back.
We're going to go ahead and take a break. When we come back, we'll be joined by a representative of the U.S. Embassy and one of the mentors of the Youth Ambassador Program. We'll be getting the details about that after the break. Please stay tuned.
Welcome back. Welcome back to
We're
Open Your
moving
Eyes.
into our second segment for today. We're going to get the details about the Youth Ambassador Program. We have 2 participants, and we have a representative of the U.S. Embassy to tell us more. We have Jamal Swazo, who is an alumni. He was one of the adult mentors. And then we have Sherry Cassie, who was one of the youth ambassadors. And we have the public affairs officer at the U.S. Embassy in Belize, Adam Benz, with us to tell us more. And we have a very tight deadline coming up for this program. So you're going to tell us why we need to apply and apply right now, right?
Absolutely.
Okay, so let me just get the background about it first, about the Youth Ambassador Program.
So basically what we would like to say is the Youth Ambassadors Program is a 3-week exchange program that is sponsored by the U.S. Department of State and designed by Georgetown University. It is a 3-week leadership program where we seek for youth that are ages 15 to 18 to travel to the United States to develop leadership skills and to learn about U.S. culture.
Yeah. And in terms of the selection of the young people and even the mentors, because you take adults on as well.
We have one right here.
What are you looking for?
So there are certain qualifications that we're looking for, and you can find out more at youthambassadorsprogram.org, but also very specific information is they have to be a citizen and resident of Belize.
Okay.
And we're looking for students who are either between the ages of 15 through 18 by the time that the program begins in January. It's going to be January 27th, 2020 to February 15th, 2020. And so, like around the corner. And then in addition, we're looking for essentially students that have demonstrated they've demonstrated leadership potential, but they've also demonstrated involvement in their community.
Yeah.
And then we're also looking essentially also that these students have permission of their parents and guardians, which is important quality.
And their school.
Exactly. And they need to have at least 1 semester remaining in the program for high school by the time that the program ends after February. So we're not looking for people who are just leaving, graduating right away. They need to have at least 1 more semester before they go. So these are, and what we also are looking for, and I think this is one of the cool things about the program, is we're looking for people who maybe have not traveled a lot internationally. We're looking for limited international experience, people who have ideally not been to the United States before, because this is an opportunity to gain exposure to U.S. culture and to give Belizean youth who have leadership skills and abilities a chance to see the United States, to be part of the culture, to develop themselves as leader. Because, this is for us, what's so valuable about this program is this is really a chance for us to build friendships between the United States and Belize.
Of course.
And to show our care and consideration for the Belizean youth and help support them become leaders.
Nice. And that leads us to Sherry Cassie.
Exactly.
I don't know how much our viewers will recognize her, but you were 11 the last time you were here singing for us. And I asked you to sing. I think she's outgrown that now, it seems. But Sherry, it's no surprise to me that you would be selected as an ambassador or as a youth ambassador. But why did you what prompted you to apply for it in the first place?
Well, like Mr. Ben said, I haven't traveled before. Like the furthest I've ever been is Chetumal.
Yeah.
Well, prior to this, so like at the minute I saw this, my mom was like, "Oh my gosh, this is like a once in a lifetime chance," and that along with all the other things about it, because then I get the opportunity to travel, I get to meet new people, I get to learn new things and see places that I thought I would never see.
Yeah.
So like that just urged me to apply.
Yeah.
And I also got encouragement from like my mom, church leaders, a lot of family telling me that they think I could do this. So
how did you feel?
I know that you're pretty confident. Not confident, but you're very aware of the skills that you have. But there are many kids who may say, well, you know what, I'm not like heading up a youth group and I'm not the student council president and I may not be enough of a leader to participate. How do you tell people about these particular requirements? How do you know if you have leadership skills to qualify?
It's complete. What I believe is that you just need to have passion, some kind of passion to help your community. You don't need to be student council president. I'm obviously not student council president. You don't have to be a prefect. You don't have to be a peer helper. You don't have to be some club president or anything. You don't have to have an executive role at your school or necessarily in your community, but you just have to be somewhat involved. You have to have some kind of passion.
Yeah.
So yeah,
I love that. Yeah.
And what is yours? What are you passionate about? What pushed you over the edge to eventually gain this opportunity?
Well, for me, I'm very involved in my church, and I was in the same Oceana Wavemakers Club. So I'm involved in a lot of clubs at school, and I just love the idea of building myself up as a leader, being able to be a role model for people around me, being able to teach others the things that I've learned. That's something that I really love. So.
And she makes such a great point, because one of the things we say is that we were looking for leadership potential.
Yes.
So it doesn't mean, as I said, we're looking for people who are passionate and excited. I think that's so important.
Yeah.
And also looking for people who are involved in the community. And you can be involved in lots of ways. Your church,
Yeah.
you know, you can be lots of things. So, I mean, I want people to think widely, because we're trying to give people a chance who are looking for one. So.
And I love that, because, you know, I think sometimes we underestimate. A lot of people haven't traveled by the time they reach high school. A lot of young people are exceptional. They have leadership skills. Maybe they're not involved, as deeply involved. And this really can help to propel them to another level. And now let's move over to the mentorship aspect. We have Jamal Swazo with us. This is also an application process. Adam, tell us a bit about who you're looking for in terms of mentorship.
So again, we're also looking for the adult mentors. It's going to be very important that they've shown qualities like Jamal has of being able to work with the youth, and also specifically, and you can tell a little bit about the criteria when you went through the process to begin a youth mentor. But we do want to make sure that these students that the mentors are actually working a lot. And Jamal did a great job, because when he was there, he was sort of the heart and soul keeping these students connected, because we always hear from parents who are like, what's going on with my kids? And the mentor is there. And so like, Jamal was the big brother to everyone there, and I think, you know, I can tell you that when he came back, they came back like a family, and I do think Jamal was a big reason for that. So you can tell a little bit
Talk to us, Jay.
Well, for the Youth Ambassadors program, it was very interesting and an experience for myself. This was the first time I traveled to the US as well. I've been to other Central American countries, but this was an experience all by itself. So for the selection process, basically you have to show proof that you have been working with youth for probably the past 5 years. So within your essay, you have to show proof that you've been working with youth for the past 5 years, show that you've been engaging with different community activities and so on. But you just have to show proof that you have a leadership capability and have been working with youth.
Oh, how do you work with young people?
Well, I worked. I won the Wavemaker of the Year for Oceana once, and then for Stann Creek District, and then I work with the National Garifuna Council for the youth leader. I work through the Ministry of Human Development as a Youth Rise project coordinator.
Excellent.
Now, you're not there as one of the youth ambassadors. You're there as their mentor, kind of, you know, the adult who helps them in this journey. But you also get to witness all the things that they're exposed to.
Because on the trip, it's not only Belize that is there, you know. You have El Salvador, Panama, Honduras, Costa Rica. So what the Georgetown University did was split us into subgroups. So I had, in my subgroup, I had kids from the other countries. I didn't have all the Belizeans with me. So it was an experience by itself, because you get to learn about all these different cultures, these different countries, and you get to experience a wide variety of Central America, and you get exposed to something that you probably a stereotype you had about some countries. It's eye-opening.
So what did you learn from it? I mean, I did see the Garifuna flag. What was it like teaching people about your culture? And you know, because here in Belize we're multicultural, but we've got a culture out in ourselves by saying I am Belizean. So what was it like?
Well, firstly, I took the step of I'm a Belizean, and also everyone, because for the selection process, surprisingly, we had majority of the ethnic groups in Belize represented. So it was a beautiful thing for all of us to be there, sharing our own distinct experiences of Belize. And it was like, because the other countries, they only have like 2 ethnic groups within their entire countries, then like Belize have like about 7. We could have shared that with them. And then one thing I learned the best was the university experience.
Okay.
When we were at the 2 universities and they gave us the technical training for us to come back and work in Belize.
And Jamal actually has a really good point. I mean, we're looking for students to apply from as many places in Belize as possible. We want to reach every community if possible. We don't want any community to say, well, I'm just from a small village. We want people from everywhere because that will show, first of all, we're not just introducing people to the United States. We're introducing people from Central America and the rest of Latin America because this is a hemisphere-wide initiative and almost every country in the Americas is participating. So this is a chance to begin also making for friendships with people from other countries in the region. And a lot of times they don't know much about Belize. And we talked about that when we got back, how they don't have a lot of ideas what Belize is when they're learning about it. But also what's amazing too is that you can talk a little bit about your experience with the host family because they make lifelong friendships that way.
Amazing. Oh, my host family was so great. Miss Jennifer Wiley, if you're watching right now, I love you. Oh my God.
How are you reaching
shout out. Yes. They were amazing. I got the privilege. My host mother was actually one of the coordinators of the program at the university. She worked with the CGU, Center for Global Engagement. And it was so great. All of the families were so loving, so great to us. My family, oh my gosh, I love them so much. Every night they would ask me a different question about our culture and about our country, and I was so happy to be able to share that with them. And they were so interested, so intrigued, and they just kept asking and asking, and I kept telling and telling. And it was incredible. My mom was so sweet. My dad, he also worked as a teacher at the university. And I had 2 little sisters. It was a great experience. And I also, in our house, I also had a host sister from El Salvador because they paired some of us together in the houses, depending on how much space the house had. So I was paired with a girl from El Salvador. So not only was I telling them about Belize, they also learned about El Salvador. And I learned about El Salvador. It was amazing. So that was
there's so many different aspects of what you can learn as a young person through this program. One, you get exposed to the United States, and it's usually not just one location, right? You move around.
Travel,
you get an introduction into American culture because you're in the homes. And also, you get exposed to other like-minded young people. Young people who see themselves as leaders or as, people who work as mentors. People who had the same thought as you did to apply. But I want to ask, what was provided in terms of leadership skills? Because that's essentially what it is. How do you feel that you were able to come back a better leader than when you first entered the program?
Well, one of my favorite workshops that we did was the 8 ethical questions that we did at JMU.
That already sounds interesting.
Yes, it teaches us how to make proper decisions and like how to consider all the outcomes and everything. They taught us an acronym for it. It's 4 CLEAR. So you consider fairness, outcomes, responsibilities, character, liberty, empathy, actions, and rights.
Wow.
So yes,
she remembers it all.
Truthfully, we couldn't know if you got it wrong.
They gave us a little card, and I normally carry it around, but I have it in my purse, and I just bring my purse. When you're making your decisions, you take all of those into consideration because they told us normally people, when they're making decisions, they only consider like one of those things, like they look at it from a fair point of view, or they think about the empathy of it, or they only think about what's gonna happen to them, the outcomes. So they say when you are making that decision, you take all of these things into consideration to make sure that it's well weighed out, that you're not just rushing into things. And I feel like that's very important for a leader, because as a leader, you are making a lot of decisions for other people. So if you are not considering all these things, it could be quite detrimental.
You make very bad decisions. How often do you find yourself having conversations like that? This is like the first time?
a lot. Ever since I've been back, I've constantly been telling my friends about the trip. They get annoyed sometimes. Like they're just like, okay, we get it. You went to JMU, you went to Virginia. Okay, you can stop.
I can never understand.
You know,
but you're passing on the information, which is important.
Yes.
Yeah.
I am always trying to talk to like the younger people, because right now it's not really safe for us fourth formers to apply, because like it's in January and that's around the time with CXCs and all that. So I talk a lot to the third formers, second formers, a lot of them that are in the age range, and I try to spread the information to them, help them apply, all of that.
And she mentions one of the things that's the most important to us about the program is because we're looking for people to become leaders when they return back. So we actually have a community project that the students come up with and they're organizing, and they can maybe tell a little bit about that. But the idea is when we come back, we say, well, that was not just a fun 3-week trip. You're now back, and how's your opportunity to contribute to your communities, to be leaders, to do everything you've learned in practice. Do you want to tell a bit about your project?
Please tell.
The project will be on quality, water quality, and we're focusing on rivers. So we're focusing on the 4 rivers, the New River, Macal River, Belize River, and the North Stand Creek River, because it's based on the amount of students we have, the ambassadors, where we split us into 3 groups of 3 because we live in the different areas. So we're dealing with that, and we're gathering the information, and then I will finish putting together a proposal to submit to the Georgetown University for review.
Excellent.
So they will give us seed funding.
Oh wow!
So it's going to come back and mean something for the community.
You know, Sherry, and for Jamal, clearly, this wonderful situation definitely have changed your perspective on life, change your perspective on how to be a better leader. Where do you see yourselves in the future? For you, Sherry, where do you see yourself? I could see you in Standard 6 probably, and when they ask you, what do you want to be when you grow up? I want to be a doctor, like everybody else, you know? So where do you see yourself?
Well, to be specific, I want to be a forensic analyst, not a doctor, more specific. But growing up, I always had this vision of helping people. I've always had a passion for that. Like, I don't even care what occupation I end up in, as long as I can benefit people with the work that I do. That's always been the passion that I've had. So I went from so many different ideas for a job, like a veterinarian, I considered doctor, teacher, all of those things. But in the end, all I really want to do is help people. So if I can take these skills that I've learned and just help people. That's all I really want to do.
That's great, and that's all you need to know right now. No pressure about figuring out a life path.
So I from this trip, I decided I wanted it changed like my view. Like I think my career that I'm in right now probably isn't the career for me.
Oh wow!
So I wanted to go into international relations or diplomacy, because I really liked when I was in the States and I was sharing about Belize, and I think I did well. And then so I think that's something I really want to do in the future.
Well, clearly Ben said you stand out. You know, you stood out for these kids.
Of course he stood out. He was the tallest one.
I was
But see, they're being ambassadors for Belize.
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so let's get into the details once again. How do people apply for the ambassador program? The age is?
So ages, again, 15 to 18 by January 2020.
Okay.
So within that time period, and keep in mind that the important thing from the member is they need to have at least 1 semester left of school before they graduate. And in addition, they can go to Youth Ambassadors. It's right here. It's youthambassadorprogram.org, right here. That's where they can both get information and also apply. And remember that it's going to be important for them to get their permission from their parents if they want to do it, and they're going to have to find an example of where they've been involved in the community or demonstrated their potential for leadership potential. So they again don't have to win any awards, but just show that you
don't have to have a long list of things that you've done.
It's not your transcript.
And limited international experience actually helps you. If you've never left Belize, that actually makes you a stronger candidate. So this is important to remember.
Excellent. And for mentor?
For a mentor, you just have to show proof that you've been working with youth, like again, for 5 years, and you have to fill out the application package, and you have to do well within your interview because it will be a very competitive process. And also there will be a Hispanic portion to it this year as well for the next cohort. So there will be the for English speakers will be in January, and for Spanish speakers will be in March. So there will be 2 cohorts next year in 2020.
And remember that if you also, for both the mentors and also for students, they need to be both a citizen and a resident of Belize. So if you're outside
those
of
are
Belize,
requirements.
You have to be here.
All right.
Awesome.
And you've got to be prepared to write some essays because there are like 4 essays that you have to write for the application. It's worth it though.
Yeah.
It's worth it.
Yeah. But I mean, I was going to say, you have to earn your spot too.
Right.
It's very competitive, but it's also a rewarding experience. How often do you have the program? Because she just came back in August and you have another now in January.
Exactly. So we're going to have the one in August. We have the one coming up in January. And the one in January is going to be different than the one in August because that was just purely an English-speaking program, where the one in January will be divided between an English component, which will be the January through February, and then, as I said, March through April will be the program for Spanish speakers. So if you are a Spanish speaker listening today, you can also apply for this information. And if you're interested in being adult mentor for Spanish speakers, the requirement for that, the biggest difference is that they have to be able to demonstrate that they speak Spanish as well. So
And there isn't an
which everyone
age
in Belize
range.
does, right?
Is there an age range?
For mentor is 25 and above.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so up to 25. So 15 to 18, and then 25 and above for mentors. So it's a great program. It's I would say it's a life-changing experience. Would you guys do that?
It's the kind of thing that we look at and say, why didn't they have that when we were young?
Stop saying that.
I'll pretend to be 18. All right. So it's youthambassadorprogram.org, and you can log on and find the application forms there. Thank you for coming in and sharing your experience, and we look forward to hearing more about your community service project as well. Thank you, Adam, for the details. We're going to go ahead and take a break, and when we come back, we're going to be talking about responsible tourism. That's coming up after the break. Stay tuned.
10 Caribbean filmmakers engage with 12 mentors to prepare themselves to pitch their projects to a room full of television industry.
The strength of Belize's tourism product undoubtedly lies in its natural environments, its people, and their hospitality. A steady increase in figures for cruise ship and overnight arrivals is a positive indication that Belize remains an ideal destination. It also means that as stakeholders in this thriving industry, travel and leisure are the biggest money earners for our economy. So what do a healthy environment and a flourishing economy have in common? You. Across the country, hotels and restaurants are already making a switch to biodegradable alternatives, doing away with single-use plastic bags, eating utensils, and styrofoam clamshells altogether. By adopting best practices at home and in your communities, you too can keep Belize clean. Encourage smart business by taking along a reusable tote bag, refusing single-use plastic items, and putting litter in its proper place. Together, we can maintain the jewel's luster by promoting a plastic-free environment in the interest of sustainable tourism.
And
we're
welcome back. Just like that. You know, just by looking at the video, I can tell you this much. Our country is beautiful. Our country is lovely. And firsthand, everybody is an ambassador to what we do in our country by telling other people about our country. We've got representatives in from the Ministry of Tourism to tell us about this wonderful campaign they're embarking on. Darian Coy is in with us. She is a tourism investment officer. And Eddie Herrera, who is a tourism officer as well at the Ministry of Tourism.
Yeah.
Welcome. Good morning. It's nice to have you guys in.
Good morning. Thank you.
You guys look passionate about what you do. Tell us about this campaign. Let's jump on into it.
Let me just set the backdrop here, because you are representatives of the Ministry of Tourism, which is the government department, not so much BTP. And so you have a particular campaign that you're launching about single-use plastics. There seem to be many different sectors involved. Where does the Ministry of Tourism fit in with this?
So the Ministry of Tourism, as the government ministry, we're responsible for policy making, for legislation, and for also interacting a lot with our stakeholders in providing them with the direction that we would want our industry to go. So all of this came about when we developed our National Sustainable Tourism Master Plan, which called for us to educate more our stakeholders, educate more our Belizeans on the importance of the tourism sector and also its impacts. And in 2017, we revised our national tourism policy as part of our sustainable tourism program, the Sustainable Tourism Program 2, which again is a direct product of the master plan. And the policy directed us towards renewable energy and towards being more responsible, to being more sustainable. And so that included looking at plastic pollution and its impact on tourism and on the environment. And so the ministry, along with the ministry responsible for the environment, we were key in the decision of the government of Belize to phase out single-use plastics. And so this is sort of like our part of the overall of our way of influencing our stakeholders, our tourists, and our Belizeans as well. That it's important that we make our contribution to Belize in general in reducing plastic pollution in Belize.
You know, I never thought restaurants are easy. I mean, restaurants we know perhaps use their takeout materials, and that's an important area to discuss about making the shift. away from plastic. But I didn't think of hotels so much and the plastics that they use. Where are they going to have to make the biggest shifts?
Well, a lot of hotels still use the single-use shampoo bottles, conditioner bottles. You know, you have to present things nice and neat, and usually they're in plastic. So, you know, they have to find alternative methods into providing a service to their customers. So, everybody has a hand to play in this. You know, everybody's responsible in maintaining. Not just hotels or not just restaurants. Everybody is responsible to make that change.
Yeah.
So. That's the whole focus on the responsible tourism. Everybody has to be a part in making that change and refusing single use.
Okay.
You know, one of the things that we also see Belizeans do is that they would go on record telling big businesses or business on a whole, you know, stop use plastic, or whenever we see plastic or a container that says or has your name on it, they would say, you know what, that's your fault. And this is where my say come into it, whereby how are we continuing to try to get Belizeans to understand that the onus of loitering is actually on the person who actually purchased the product. Most of these products would say recycle. There is a sign on it. So why don't we put it in the garbage can? How are we sensitizing Belizeans to keep Belize clean and they're an ambassador to their country?
So it goes beyond recycling. It's to the point where we need to stop using. And starting off this responsible campaign, we started it from internally. We can't be saying, oh, you know, we want you guys to stop using plastic, but in the ministry, we're still bringing in plastic. So we have to walk the walk. We can't just talk the talk.
Of course.
So we started by implementing a green team, which I'm head of, and we kicked off our campaign by doing a cleanup. We clean a half-mile in to the Jaguar Park corridor.
Nice.
And it's, you know, that's a major traffic tourist corridor, especially for cruise tourism and people looking for recreational activities. So a team of us went there on Saturday, and on Saturday, a couple weeks ago, and the amount of plastic we found was just ridiculous, and you know, it kind of kicked us off into really, really pushing the ban in single use.
So this is an important conversation, because what we have known since last year is that it is a phase-out process. So at some point in time, it will not be accessible to anyone to get these single-use plastics. But we have to eliminate what's currently in stock and kind of get people to move to new or to other options. Let's talk about what is going to be removed entirely from the country. What's going to be included in the ban?
Well, as you're aware, the items, they will include like the plastic bags, the disposable ones that you get.
So the shopping bags that we get.
Yes.
Okay.
The plastics and styrofoam, the forks, the plates, cups, straws. So those are the major items that will be.
So plastic or styrofoam?
Yes.
Okay. Those will all be eliminated. What about like plastic bottles, or, you know, there are other plastic items that people use in the country. I know juice makers use them, other people like that. Are these still going to be accessible?
Unfortunately, yes, but we as consumers, we can decide, you know what, we can take our water bottles to get a refill. We don't have to buy a plastic water bottle. We can take our cup to get a glass of juice. You know, we have to be the change, like I said before. We can't be depending on someone waiting for a ban. We have to step up and take our alternative items.
And what is happening with businesses in terms of trying to get them to stop buying because you go to a restaurant now and you ask for a takeout, they actually give you something now that it feels totally different from styrofoam. It feels totally different from that. Is there any regulation in place right now especially for those who are still using it, to try and get them to get off it? Is there any regulation in place?
No, the regulation is not in place as yet. And this is why our campaign is focusing a lot more on on everything in general, not really on what is legislated right now, but on what we can do to reduce the use of single-use plastics, but also plastics overall.
So, what is the deadline for the absolute phase out? We still don't know yet.
No, it's not.
No, but
not.
I mean, we can continue. Well, we can step up and, you know, decide we're not going to use it, like I said.
Yeah.
And tourism is one of the main drivers in the country, and you know, we need to take care of our natural resources, our tourism products. And you know, the reason I say that we need to step up and bring awareness to with this campaign is that, you know, we have people coming in enjoying all these tourism products, and Belizeans enjoy these products. So one of the main reasons for this campaign is to bring awareness through social media, through media appearances like we are here today, through TV ads, where we will be going out to schools, informing children about, you know, why is it that we should say no to plastic. Excuse me. And yeah.
So it's starting with the customer behavior first. While you're going to work on your end to kind of phase out the importation or the production of these materials locally, it's getting the buy-in. It's that when I go to the store, if they attempt to give me a plastic bag, that I'll say no. Or if they want to give me a styrofoam plate, that I'll say no. But you know, it's very specific in terms of what you're talking about in working with the restaurant industry and also the hotel industry, because they have particular needs. A restaurant, for example, has to do takeout, you know, especially for people who don't want to sit there or take their food home. How do you, I mean, what's the buy-in from them right now? Because I find, interestingly enough, in Belize, there's some who've already made the full shift. You know, it's like cardboard boxes, biodegradable bags. And then there are others who are still all styrofoam as well. So how do you get them on board?
Well, I think we just need to keep informing and keep bringing to attention the need for this phase out, the need to transition. And well, from the ministry standpoint, we change our policies, we change our purchasing procedure to where we ask them that, you know, in order for us to use our service, you have to provide us with biodegradable products whenever we have catering events. So it's us, you know, applying that little pressure in, you know, having them to transition over to biodegradables.
Yeah, you know, I think one of the best ways to make a change in our country, in any country, especially when it comes to things like this, would be to advocate in the schools, because the younger ones coming up will be the ones who would make that the greatest impact. What are we doing in that aspect? Are we going into schools and trying to get them educated? And you know what? We are trying to phase this out. Are we there?
Yes. So as part of our campaign, we will be doing two things with the schools. One is that we will be developing competitions for schools in tourism destinations, and also we will be visiting the schools and doing presentations. So we will be going to each district. I think the target is around 500 students per district.
Sweet.
That we will be visiting. Visiting some schools.
And just like that, it leads me as well, by reading the pamphlet, that there are a few recycling companies in our country. Now, in order for us to phase things out, we need to take them somewhere so we could get the country clean. Can you list these people? List these people, please. And I'm saying this because there are a lot of people in our country who do not know that, you know what, we have people who actually do recycling, or people who would actually collect these things. Can you tell us about those folks, please?
So it's not a lot. It's the Belize Recycling Company, which I think a lot of people have heard of, but we weren't aware of a company called Resource Recovery Recycling Limited, and obviously the Belize Recycling Company is the bigger one, and the owner, he mentioned that he could travel anywhere in the country if there's a significant amount of items that can be recycled. He's willing to go over there to pick them up.
Oh wow!
So it's important, I would say, for if you want to recycle, to join with other properties. If you're a hotel, talk to other hotels in your area to see to join forces, so that you can encourage the recycling company to go to your area to pick up your recyclable items. And well, there's the other one, the cartridge recycling company. So they recycle ink cartridges, and the person has been to our office a few times to get some of the cartridges.
So. Nice. Now, you know, there's also the study. They were supposed to look at the actual practice of how Belizeans use plastic in this country. Where are we with that?
I think that's being done by the Department of the Environment.
Okay.
We do have a document on that, but I don't think it has been published as yet. I'm not sure if they will be publishing that.
Okay, so we kind of have gathered the baseline data for that so far.
There's a baseline for right now.
And now we're rolling out the official campaign.
Yes, the official responsible tourism campaign. We are rolling out, and yeah, we're excited for all the stuff that we have planned in informing the community, in getting the community involved in not just recycling stuff that can be recycled, but you know, stop using it, period. And that's where we are at the moment. You know, we need to stop using these items that cannot be repurposed, that cannot be recycled.
You know, I see that in your pamphlet when you're talking to restaurants. There's a very interesting one here, and I guess it's more one of the things I think of, that when people go to restaurants, oftentimes they ask for bottled water, and you're asking them to do glass instead. You know, I think when foreigners come to this country, well, anybody who travels, sometimes you go to a new country and you're like, I don't know if I can trust the water, so I ask for bottled water. What are some of the alternatives that you're suggesting to them to have in place?
Well, that's a good one. Because that is true. I mean, you go to a different country and you have to be iffy with the stuff you put in your body. But I mean, my suggestion can be you have a sort of like refill stations showing people, you know, the type of water they're getting. And just, you know, informing your guests and that, you know, we use the highest quality of products in making sure you have a nice trip.
Oh, definitely.
So it does take a bit of a culture shift as well in preparing to respond to any concerns that the visitors may have as well. Nice. So what can we expect from this campaign?
Well, you'll see us a lot on the media and also on commercials and the ads that we're doing. We're teaming up with Yellow Belize, and so anytime you watch a YouTube video or scrolling on your Instagram, you'll see our ads talking about responsible tourism, how, you know, we need to take responsibility of taking care of our country on a whole, not just our tourism products, but Belize. So we'll be around.
We will also be showcasing properties that, you know, they embrace some of these practices. We will be showcasing them on our social media, encouraging other properties to do the same, encouraging our Belizeans to do the same.
Because there are quite a few who've completely adapted to reusing or being plastic free.
Definitely. And finally for me is that the information that you guys are sharing here is, I've got to say, it's yay high, when in reality we've got the sky. So where can we get some more information on this?
Well, we will be developing a page on our website where people can easily find best practices. They can be informed on what the ministry is doing and just on how, you know, we can address this problem and be the change.
And what's the website?
It will be on the Ministry of Tourism. We don't have the page hasn't went live as yet, but as soon as
work in progress.
Well, you could go to www.tourism.gov.bz. That's our main that's our website.
And that's where we'll be able to get the information when it's uploaded.
All
right, so we are to choose to refuse single-use plastics. Thank you so much for coming in, and best of luck. I think it's all a part of our responsibility, and it's great to hear of what you're doing to lead the charge.
Thank you. Thank you for having us.
We're going to go ahead and take our final break, and when we come back, we'll have our wrap-up, so stay tuned.
With over 100 years of service,
And we're back.
Just like that, we are back. We had 3 wonderful segments, and we want to say a big thank you to everybody who joined us this morning. These segments, they're very, very informative, and we do hope that you enjoyed all of them. But like we mentioned, we've got to go. Oh, before we go, guess what? Take a wild guess.
Tonight is KTV Latino.
You got it. You're the bestest guesser ever.
What did I win?
You actually win the title of bestest guesser.
No, you give the. Oh, I thought you were going to say champion thing, because you give that away too much.
That's the reason why you're the best guesser. Hey, look, Belize, I'll tell you what. Later on tonight, it's going to be an explosion when it comes to talent at the Bliss Center for Performing Arts. It's going to be KTV Latino, and tonight we're down to 6 contestants. And they are so good in what they're doing. Remember, you get your tickets right here at Channel 5, right here at 88 at the on the Boulevard, and you could also get yourself a ticket there at Smart on Albert Street, corner Albert and King Street. It's going to be a lovely time. Ozzy the Clown is going to be there. There'll be ticket giveaways for Rosewater concert. There'll be $100 given away courtesy, I think it's Zetro. Yes. So why not be a part of it? There's so much, and the best part of it is that the contestants are so solid, and you get to hear your favorite song.
That's right. So head on out to KTV Latino. The show starts at 8:30 tonight. You can get tickets at 88 on the Central American Boulevard, Smart, downtown, Channel 5 on Coney Drive. Get your tickets, head on out there. And if you can't make it, of course, it's live on Channel 5 and also streaming on the KTV Latinos Facebook page. But
we've got to go. Don't forget the weather folks are saying that, you know what, there'll be some rain, so make sure that you've got your umbrellas. Stay hydrated, please. Thank you once again. And, you know, I actually forget my extra.
Okay.
If you've got any questions, any concerns, oh my God, it's your fault. any questions, any concerns, drop us a line at oye@channel5belize.com.
You can also drop me a line at marlene_oye@channel5belize.com. Find us on Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ and on Instagram at OYE Belize. And remember to tune in tomorrow morning at 6:30 when you open your eyes.
To start your morning right. Belize, keep your eyes, your minds,
and your hearts open. We'll see you soon. Enjoy your day, Belize.
Open Your Eyes was brought to you by the Belize Bank, our country, your bank, and Smart, bringing people together